I will be.
Yeah, I'm on there.
everyone.
What's up?
Welcome to today's episode of Every Rose Has Its Thorn. I'm Staci.
I'm EJ.
And we are your, oh gosh, wait, sorry.
Mute yourself,
Wow.
mute yourself.
Sorry about that. I usually pause the feed when I'm looking at the chat and guess I didn't.
We're real on it today, friends.
Oh God. It's been a time.
It's been a week. I'm excited to talk about this because admittedly I fell asleep during the middle of the last episode and didn't even get a chance to finish watching it. So I'm very much looking forward to the recap section where Staci's going to tell me what happened. I think you're muted. Oh no, still can't hear you.
How's this?
Oh, there we go.
Cool. I am still figuring out the wiring, and I think I keep kicking my microphone wire out by accident.
Oh.
On it. So I guess we should just go straight into the recap because we talked a long time on Monday, and we're still going to be obviously talking about Chris Harrison and racism and all of the things around that. But I think a lot of it will come up when we talk about the wider implications of things that happened in these past two episodes and how the editing worked. And I just want to get straight to that. So for our first picture, something weird about this season is that every episode is opening with this like weird teaser, and it's not a episode preview, which is kind of what is traditional for The Bachelor. It's like here's like a 30-second cutscene with some dramatic music.
I can speak to that. That's something that we're seeing a lot more often in television and especially on like YouTube, for example, right? It's the cold open, right? It's meant
Hello, our anonymous cheerer. Thank you for the
nice. Thank you. It's I mean those exist as a pure like attention grabber. It's the same thing that you see, but yeah, you're right, it is kind of different. You're used to seeing the like previously on The Bachelor.
I know, it's just like I get it. I don't like it. I feel like
especially this one, it felt like a skit, right? Because it was all staged anyway.
And the drama that it's alluding to is also already like, it's just too much. So we open with this like teaser of Heather has shown up to Nemacolin. Then we go back to where we left off last week, which is our second image. MJ and Jasenia are having their 2-on-1. And we talked a lot about this last time, but MJ is hardcore trying to stomp all over Jasenia, pulling some like serious like white lady gets what she wants when she cries bullshit. And Jasenia is like very calmly responding, but in this image we have MJ telling Jasenia that she's not allowed to talk anymore. And then in our third image, Matt takes them aside. Jasenia tells Matt basically that MJ's been lying to him the whole time, which there are a lot of complicated things around people telling on other people on this show to the lead. But I think given the fact that Jasenia is already on a 2-on-1 date, she doesn't have a chance of winning. So I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing. The goal is to stay longer at this point. And also to get this horrible person. Like, Justinia's just right. And I can't often definitively say that about this highly edited show. In our next picture, number 4, we have MJ. She keeps repeating this refrain of like big hair, big hoops, big attitude. And it's like she's trying to cherry pick these things from really like Latinx culture and Black culture, and then really just like hammer home that white privilege she has too. And it's just like when you start realizing how racist her actions are, these little things like this image kind of just show more and more, I don't know, what's fucked up. In the next image, number 5, Jasenia gets the rose, and everybody's clearly happy. No one's particularly happy with MJ at this point. It's pretty clear that they see her as one of the mean girls.
And MJ's whole performance, right? Because it was a performance. She knows she's wrong. And, it's all just a last-ditch effort to, like you said, to try and stay on the show longer. And so, she's pulling out the tears. She's pulling out the victim cards. She's saying basically anything she feels like she has to in order to potentially stay a little bit longer, probably knowing that it's still going to blow up in her face, but maybe she'll at least get some more screen time out of it.
Yeah. Oof. Well, the next thing we have is okay, so Jasenia gets the rose, and then after that, in number 6, we get Katie and Serena having a fight. It kind of specifically Serena C. It kind of almost comes out of nowhere. It had kind of started during the previous cocktail party when we were waiting to find out if Jasenia or MJ was staying, but like it's weird, and Katie gets very, very mad. And we're gonna talk about this later, because it's on one hand, like I think what I was like fairly called on my immediate reaction to this, and it's something that we all like could probably benefit from talking about how this show is edited as a whole. Then number 7, Heather arrives, and periodically they like do this weird thing where they pretend it's not planned. Heather is wearing a fucking microphone, and
I know,
and not wearing a mask, and they're like, "Oh, Heather, why did you get on a red eye and come all the way here? We told you not to come here." Like, who the fuck do you think we
I
are?
know, but like Hannah said, Hannah Brown,
my friend Hannah,
said I should come, and
it's
so I
like,
did.
yeah, I know Hannah tried to convince us that you should come, but like we said no. And like, that's not how any of this works. And I mean, honestly, I don't think this show would be any different for us like dropping that like false whatever that these things aren't planned, and just say like, hey, we're throwing a wrench in your plans because it's good TV. If you truly love these other girls and you want to be with them, it won't matter. Like, what's the harm in that? Also, honestly, what's the harm in letting Heather come in with the second round of people who came in? Like I just what's the harm in letting Heather come in earlier? I don't fucking get it. Anyway,
There's no harm in letting Heather come in earlier. It's just the whole point is to stir things up.
I know. It's just like it's not good drama. Like there is good drama. This is not good drama. Also, Heather is fucking boring.
This season as a whole is not good drama because it's like
I find that frequently with the more heavily manufactured drama, like the clearly not the producers manipulate people into fighting over something they're having a light argument over drama, the much more scripted drama, like contestants entering late, like
bringing eliminated contestants back.
Yeah. Possibly Claire leaving early with Dale. But that's a conspiracy theory for another time. Yeah, it's not good. And you see like these weird clips of Heather quarantining and going crazy for the next, like, over the course of the rest of the episode. And she's finally out of quarantine at the end, but like, anyway. The next thing we do is we get number 8, Piper's one-on-one. And I don't want to talk about it for that long, partly because it's not a very long segment. But like, just want to note that Piper gets like a very well edited classic one-on-one date. She gets a surprise carnival that ends in a concert. Temecula
Road, 1,000 times, and I still love it.
Disney's label. They are Radio Disney artists. But actually they weren't bad. It was like weird. Anyway, point being, Piper gets a beautiful classic bachelor date that should be marking her for success. We're going to pause for 1 second for some technical issues, but we will be back in just a moment. We are on, we're on 8. We're finishing up 8. We're going to go to 9 next. But we can go to 9 now. Okay. We're back with number 9, which is our group date. Gosh, what even happened on this group date? There's drama over who's going to get the one-on-one. Obviously, because Katie and Serena C were fighting earlier. Serena C's name is read last. Oh, it's the bowling date. Okay, cool. This is like actually like ripped directly out of Ari's season, honestly. And the winning bowling team gets extra time with Matt, and like the classic Bachelor thing where the losing team goes back and is sad and then is suddenly happy because they're told, oh, by the way, I feel so bad. I want you to come back. It's boring. Whatever. I just don't worry about it. In number 10, Katie gets her one-on-one, and Katie gets the let's prank my best friend Tyler C date. It's a weird.
This was the weirdest fucking date, and I hated it.
I'm really, really hoping Tyler knew what was going on the whole time, because otherwise there are a lot of like really gross consent issues happening here.
Yeah.
It was like we're fucking with Tyler by telling a fake massage therapist to do things like tweak his nipples and massage his head too hard.
Yeah, and like straddle him and like do all these yeah, and it was like, haha, it's a prank. It's like
though there is also the in Hannah season, Tyler in there before their fantasy suite date snuck in and replaced her massage therapist and started massaging her, and it was really weird and not consensual, and it was also weird that this echoed that, but that's a different That's like, I don't even know. The show isn't that literary to be drawing these like deep connections. It's just, I don't know, ironic that they're connected. Something. That, yeah. But this is the fun buddy date, and at the end, Matt sends Katie home because they're too good at being friends. Which, like, I guess you could kind of see from a mile coming, because, like,
they never had any chemistry, really.
And they edited out their, like, one, like, make-out from earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And also, Katie's getting an intense amount of screen time and positive edit for someone who's not going far, which goes back to the Katie is the Bachelorette rumors that have been going around for a while. So in image 11, we have Heather entering, and she gets the crazy music. I don't have a better description for it, and I don't even like I don't like using that word. And that's like what they are trying to imply here, that she is thinking she can come in and mess with the process. Oh boy, look at the audacity of that white blonde girl. She's so silly. Yeah.
This was so weird. I just, and especially the way that it all plays out, I'm just like, why?
They literally even show her tripping entering the building. It's like not, the whole thing is not okay.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. It doesn't even, anyway, we'll get there.
I know. Then we go to the next episode, this week's episode. We open with a normal recap and preview. I was so happy. I was like, oh, some normalcy in my Bachelor. Let's see. And then we see again Heather entering, and she walks into the room where Piper and Matt are talking, and Piper already has a rose, but she said that she had like very heavy conversations with Matt. So this is number 13. And she had wanted to like show Matt that she could have lighter conversations too, and that they connect in that way. And in the next slide, we have 14, and Piper's crying because Heather came in and basically, instead of saying, can I steal you for a second? Can I steal him for a second? It's, can I steal you for a second? And there's this like, so Piper went on Bachelor Happy Hour, which is the official Bachelor Nation podcast with Becca and Rachel, former bachelorettes, to talk about this. And what she mentions here, and we're going to talk about it more later, but like, she mentions this in the episode, that there's like this like established rapport in the house where when you're going to steal Matt, you ask the person who you're stealing from rather than asking Matt, because Matt doesn't give a fuck. And they all know that. And that's just like how you politely interrupt someone's conversation.
Right. Can I steal Matt for a second?
Yeah.
Because like, what are you going to say? No?
Right.
And even if you do say no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't like, yeah.
And then also she talked about how she felt in this moment, and how she felt like once again someone was choosing a skinny white blonde girl over her, and how much of her life had felt like that. And this is what she's talking about on Bachelor Happy Hour, and how it brought up all of the feelings around that. And this is why she reacted so strongly, which like seems pretty valid. But after like 20 minutes of this bullshit, Heather gets sent home. And in 15, he apologizes to everyone for it happening. And this Bree's case. And he specifically pulls Piper aside and is like, let's finish our conversation. Which like might be more self-awareness than I expected from him. I don't know.
Or I mean, usually you don't see that. Usually they're like, meh, whatever. Like, I already know what I'm doing. So it's like it's nice to see Matt actually like
Yeah.
reaching out in that way and like acknowledging like, hey, this situation is not okay. And you see it as a pattern with him, right? So far this season, you have actually seen him making all of the right decisions as far as sending home people causing drama, which
and
like
the way that he
compared to
like,
Peter compared to Peter when he was the Bachelor, it's terrible.
Matt, like in some ways, like so clearly doesn't know what he's doing, but he also, when he's sending people home and when those conversations are happening, he's actually like exceptionally like thoughtful about it in a way that most people aren't. Except for at the end of this episode, there's one moment where I was just like, why the fuck are you doing this? But I'll get to that. So in the next one, number 16, Serena P gets another one-on-one. She's the only person to get 2 one-on-ones this whole season, which, you know, is always a sign of something.
And it always happens before everyone has gotten a one-on-one, right? You always get a second one-on-one before everybody has one one-on-one.
We sent Heather home. He also sends Serena C. I'm like, Serena, one of the Serenas, Serena C and Chelsea home. Chelsea being one of the top people in this series who I would love to be friends with.
I'm mad she got sent home.
I'm so upset. But like she lives in Brooklyn. So
maybe we can be friends.
We can be friends. Chelsea, if you ever watch this, we think you're really cool. I really like that TikTok you made prior to the season, and I started following you once you did that, and I enjoy following you on social media and would also appreciate being friends. You're also very pretty and very tall.
And you're too good for this show.
You are. I think because Matt is so tall, I forget that she's a runway model and therefore very tall. And I see pictures of her like not on the show that she posted. And I'm like, oh, I'm short.
Oh, you're tall.
Yeah. Anyway, that aside, Chelsea's cool. So we have, let's see. So basically Jasenia and Abigail haven't had one-on-ones yet. And the whole thing is that one of them is not going to get on one-on-one now. Serena also gets another classic Bachelor date, which is the Tantric yoga date. And like, she clearly gets it because she's uncomfortable with it. Like she states outright, she handles it really well. Like she's clearly uncomfortable. The picture I have of her here is her pulling away from a kiss, which is obviously like not the best thing to do on The Bachelor. But like she gets a rose at the end. In part, like it's almost that like Matt's like, oh, she's uncomfortable, but she wants to try. Ooh, that's hot.
Well,
it's weird.
I don't know. I was actually really impressed with this whole sequence, like their whole conversation and everything surrounding it. Like I
thought that she handled it really well. I thought it was weird that he didn't notice she was uncomfortable at all in the moment because she was so clearly uncomfortable.
Did he say that he didn't notice? I don't remember if he said he noticed.
He said she said, she was like, I don't like this. He was like, oh, I thought it was really hot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I don't remember him saying that specifically, but I also fell asleep during this episode. Like
he so clearly loved tantric yoga.
Sure. But he also went into with her, he was like, oh man, like he seemed really appreciative that she actually said this to him. And he also said, well, cool, let me tell you why I liked it. and that seemed like not a loaded question, right? Like that wasn't like a, oh well, I did. It was very like a cool, let me tell you what about it I enjoyed, so maybe we can like recreate that another way that you're more comfortable with, is how it felt to me, which I was pretty impressed with.
I definitely didn't read it giving him that much credit. But also, I think just like the way it was edited and the way it happened, I was pretty surprised that she got a rose from it. But also not surprised that she got a rose if I thought outside of how they've interacted in that episode.
Yeah, but think about how like it would have, I don't think he had a choice on giving her a rose or not during that date, because he would have looked like a total dickhole if he like didn't give her a rose after she said, I was uncomfortable with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
So number 17 we have here. So this is a weird thing where we don't have any of the day portion of the group date again. And it happened. There are press photos of it happening. Like they released press photos from this footage that we didn't get to see. It's like a weird, there's footage of them all in a hot tub. And he specifically gets alone time with Bree. We should be on slide 17. I can't see them, and I can't see them while I'm talking about them. So
it's a photo of Abigail.
No, slide 17 is Bree, but doesn't matter. Bree basically,
maybe that's Bree.
In the night portion of the date, Bree is telling Matt that she quit her job to stay on the show, that she had to resign from her position. And this is like a big, heavy thing. She's like, by the way, I loved my job. It gave me purpose, but like, I really see something here. So I have to stay. I have to be here. And then Abigail gets time with him one-on-one, and Abigail gets sent home. This is number 18. And like, we could see it coming because Abigail, even though she got the first impression rose, did not get any real screen time, like real edit. She never got a one-on-one. It's pretty rare that you get to go to hometowns without getting a one-on-one. But like, it's also just like, it's disappointing. Like, Abigail also seems really cool. There's like really cute shots of her and Maggie just like having like a really sweet seeming friendship. It's also like a pretty big deal that she's the first deaf contestant, and like talked about that and talked about everything around that. And we just didn't get to see her very much at all. Then in 19, Kit goes to talk to, between 18 and 19, Matt gives the group date rose to racist Rachel, and they go to
Confederate Rachel.
Rachel. I've heard KKK Kirknell. Yeah. Yep.
I started watching Unreal, by the way, and I just started season 2, and I'm like, oh, the parallels.
Right? Okay. Told you. Like, Unreal is a lot, but...
Oh, it's a lot, but I'm addicted.
Yeah. Anyway, we get, they get like actually like a pretty like big deal concert too. It's very weird. I don't want to talk about her that much in the context of her getting good things.
Yeah.
So Bree and Kit are both like very sad. Bree because she like loaded up I quit my job for you, and Kit because she said she thought they had like an intense heart to heart. And Kit then goes to Matt's house, apartment, whatever thing, and self-eliminates.
Oh, I missed that. See, this is the part that I was definitely asleep during.
Kit self-eliminates. She basically says this is 19, that she is leaving because she doesn't know if she's going to be able to reciprocate his feelings as intensely as he would. She also has like this whole weird speech about how like she really needs someone who is going to like be okay with her focusing on her career for like the next 5 years before they start having kids, because she doesn't want to have kids until she's like 25 or 26. And I was like, excuse me.
Yeah, she's young. She's a baby.
She's 21. And I was like, it's okay. Matt's not ready to have kids either, kid.
No.
Anyway, in number 20, Jasenia gets her one-on-one. So the day portion of it is they like make out on a muscle car.
Sure.
They learn from a professional drifter how to drift race cars, and then they make out on the hood of a car. And then you see the night portion here. You see the picture of Jasenia about to get dumped, and if you didn't know that she was going to get dumped before going into this date, because she's not been on this show outside of drama and doesn't get to spend much time with Matt, you should know that she's going to get dumped by the fact that Matt is wearing a hoodie.
Oh.
Yeah. Matt is wearing a hoodie while she's in like a dress.
Damn, he didn't even try.
I mean, his stylist didn't even try. Let's be real. Matt's not dressing himself.
That's fair.
And like, I get it, but it's like these dates are like supposed to be like semi-cocktail attire. And for the most part, he's been put in like sweaters and turtlenecks and like hoodie, like totally appropriate for the day portion. And then you get to the night portion and you're like, are they trying to say something? Are they trying to say that he doesn't care? Like what's going on here? And then in number 21, we round it out by giving out the next 2 roses to the remaining 3 women. So Michelle and Bree get roses, which means Piper is sent home. Again, like Piper is someone who actually did get like a very like connection with Matt edit. She's also like she knows it's happening. She's so sad, and she just doesn't talk to him when he walks her out, which I kind of respect. Honestly, like it's like it seems like her very real reaction to it. She's just like really sad, and she was, I don't know if she was surprised at that point, but she is extremely disappointed, and she's like, I don't want to deal with like empty platitudes about this. Bye.
And that was Piper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the end of our recap.
So for hometowns, we've got Michelle,
Bree,
Bree,
Serena P, and Confederate Rachel.
Michelle.
You know Rachel's gonna win, right? Like there's like no reason that Chris Harrison would be going like, I mean, obviously like he is also like this racist person, but like why would he be defending her? Why would he care to defend her if she wasn't?
Also, has Matt said anything?
He said you should wait for her to talk.
Right. That's all I've heard is him being like, well, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her. And she should talk or, you know, whatever. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that does make it feel like she's going to win because everyone's like, oh, we don't want to.
I'm picking her in my bracket. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Like, I want to win my bracket. There's a prize. I'm in 2 different Bachelor fantasy groups. One of them I am not going to win because it's predict perfectly who gets a rose every time, and you had to be good at like the first few episodes, and I'm just not. But the other fantasy thing I'm in gives you points based on like actions people take during episodes, and you pick new people each week.
Oh my God, I should be doing that.
I'll make sure you know for Bachelorette because it's really fun and I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Apparently. Anyway.
Maybe that should be our Bachelorette show is actually Bachelorette fantasy.
Oh.
Drafting strategy. Here's what your lineup should be going into this episode.
Yeah, my advice to you is watch Bachelor Fan Takes preview breakdowns. Very helpful. Dude does a lot of the work for you. You don't need to listen to everything he says, but it's helpful. Anyway, so I wanted to go back, I guess, to start to talk about the MJ and Jasenia conclusion, that fight, and just like really round it out with like, I guess we talked about most of it while we were touching on it, but just like it's so clear what this show feels is okay to promote. I'm taking off my sweater. And like it's the fact that MJ thought that she could get away with that and look good is really telling of what this show is and what her life has been like. And it sucks.
Right? She just has so much confidence with it that it's like, oh, you've clearly done this before and gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Like you've clearly done this exact same thing in the past, and you've managed to manipulate whoever you were talking to into believing you, and that's what you're trying to do here, right? It's just too, and it's I would love to like have been a producer in the room while all this was happening, because like I want to know what the real story is, because like I want to know how much they were egging her on. I want to know you know, like how much of this is manufactured, how much of it is, you know, the edit specifically. And, you know, but then again, at the end of the day, like Jasenia didn't even make it another whole episode.
No, she did. She made it another episode and a half. She made it through that episode.
Yeah, that episode. What I mean is like she didn't, like after that episode where she had already gotten a rose, she didn't make it through the next one.
No.
Right?
There was another rose ceremony at the start of the Heather episode.
But she already had that rose.
No. That's a different episode. So we start the episode with the MJ and Jasenia fight. Jasenia gets a rose. We send Katie home. Then Heather comes. Then there's another rose ceremony, and Jasenia gets a rose there. Then she gets sent home on her one-on-one.
And then we start another episode with a rose ceremony, because
so both episodes started with rose ceremonies, so it's throwing off your sense of when things happened. Yeah, there were 2 rose ceremonies in the most recent episode. Okay. Yeah, I really hate this starting an episode on a rose ceremony thing, because it actually makes it harder to follow the plot. But that's a separate thing. It's not new to this season, but it's not something that I would like them to continue.
I don't mind it if the episode doesn't start and end with a rose ceremony. It's like and you know, the episodes are so long.
So then we go into Katie and Serena's fight. And like, here's the thing. Katie has had like head-to-head battles with other contestants, and she only yells at Serena in it. And Serena's like, yes, Serena came for her, but Serena is like by far the most innocuous of the people we see Katie fighting with at any point. And we don't get to see Serena C in anything other than this fight with Katie, really. She gets very little screen time prior to this. And like,
I think it was in that like the Game of Roses podcast, they were calling her the goon, which like makes perfect sense to me, right? Like because wasn't she at the center of like some other drama and pointing fingers and whatnot?
Serena?
Yeah. Like outside of just deciding to go after Katie here.
So I know. She definitely like,
because I know I already didn't like her prior to.
She had a moment where she was commenting on the Mean Girls stuff, but like I don't know how much of this is editing and who else was commenting on Mean Girls stuff and who wasn't, but it's like pretty indicative of how Asian contestants are often edited on this show, and that she doesn't get a story other than being a mean girl here, and she doesn't get a story other than being dramatic and a little bit crazy and fiery.
Yeah. I mean, the whole situation, though, like, it looks like, where is this coming from? Like, what are you doing? Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like, so, like, obviously, like, for us, it's like, what are producers doing here? Like, what are they trying to do? And why? Like, what's the point of this? And there is no point.
Other than to set Katie up to look good.
But she doesn't even leave it looking good. Like, she doesn't look worse, but she
I disagree. I think she leaves that fight looking on top and looking like, I'm too good for this.
So she does, but like, I've like talking to friends after this and talking to friends who are watching this as Asian viewers, and for seeing themselves on screen, seeing like seeing an Asian girl just get yelled at when a white girl who was a lot meaner didn't get yelled at, felt like, yeah. So think in contrast of her fight with Victoria. And Victoria is categorically, unequivocally a worse person, right? Like, we know Victoria is probably like actually the closest to who she is on the show in her real life, right? And then,
yeah,
I mean,
so
why is she yelling at Serena and not Victoria? And I think part of it is that she's exhausted and she's at her wit's end.
I was gonna say,
but it's the thing is, like, and I say this like as a white woman and all that, who can she better get away with yelling at? And whether or not that's subconscious or not, like, who will she look better? Who does she have the most potential to not look like a bad person yelling at? And I don't think that she's doing that consciously at all. I think I like Katie a lot, but it's interesting that, like, once again, the only screen time a player of color is getting is to be at the epicenter of drama, get in a fight, and leave.
Yeah, I'm curious what the rest of her story is, because the way this is edited and put together just feels so out of left field.
We are absolutely missing something.
Yeah, and the way, and also like the way Katie's reacting to that is very much so like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I wasn't a part of any of this. Why are you yelling at me? Like, it's a, why are you coming at me for this thing? And then it's like, and then she does escalate it to a degree that's like feels out of character for Katie because of how much we've seen her like respond so well to people like Victoria. And so it's like, and I think part of the thing is what Serena C is coming at her with is like a, how could you dare tell Matt that there's drama in the house, because that just took away our time with him.
That they edit out a little bit, but it's kind of present, is that Serena C accuses Katie of only being there to want to be the Bachelorette. And that's
not in there?
Yeah, it's not in there. But she's like, you're not here for Matt, you're just here for like, and then she's cut off and they're fighting again. But like, the clear implication of what she's saying is, you just want to be the Bachelorette, which like might be true.
Which, I mean, they all want to be the Bachelorette. Yeah. They all just want to be the Bachelorette. It's who can I accuse of wanting that more than being Matt?
It's and then furthering Katie getting like that classic friend edit, just like base level as a trope to look for. If someone's getting like a very, very friend edit, like they're having a lot of fun. Note that they're not getting a sexual edit.
Oh, like edit with, you mean friend edit with the contestant?
Yeah.
Or with, yeah.
Yeah.
Bachelor.
Yeah, so like Katie's often compared to Caitlin Bristow, but Caitlin often gets to talk about her sexual chemistry with Chris Soules in that season and demonstrate his attraction to her, even though ultimately he's more into the like the innocent good girl. Can't have a girlfriend.
I think you unplugged your mic again.
Back.
But I mean, to that point though, like, yeah, like you don't see her having any chemistry with Matt whatsoever. And that makes me question whether or not it ever existed in the first place. She's just been there to further other people's plot points and look good in order to, again, bachelorette, we think.
How's this?
That's good.
Okay. I need to fix this at some point. It's not going to be today. So yeah, that's just like another trope to look for. Also, the weird edit around Heather's plotting. Like, obviously, like the show planned this. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But more around the Heather thing, I want to talk about this bullying narrative that came out of it. So Heather's friends have all like hardcore taken to Twitter to be like, all those girls are such horrible bullies. They were so mean to Heather. And like, here's the thing, like, I'm not going to say that they were nice to Heather, but like, you are at an emotional breaking point. You're there for 6 weeks. Someone comes in and you think that they're going to replace you, having never met Matt before, whatever. I dare you to be graciously nice and kind to them. Or really what happened was to be like, why the fuck are you here? And it wasn't even like the way that they talked to Sarah, like when Kit was like, you're going to have a terrible time here. That's bullying. That's uncalled for.
Right.
Why are you here? I can't see you getting engaged to Matt in a week. Not bullying. Harsh, right, but not bullying. And meanwhile,
well,
Jasenia had to put her profile on private because she was getting so much hate messaging from people being like, why the fuck were you so mean to Heather? And it comes back to racism in Bachelor Nation. Again, we get Demi defending Heather and like talking all this shit about the other girls on the season. And then when someone points out that she's suddenly like really heavily attacking a group that is primarily women of color, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm an ignorant sack of shit. I'm such a bad person. You shouldn't be like me.
Who said that?
Demi.
Who?
Demi. Like, no, Demi from Demi Burnett. From Colton season. We talked about her with the dog, the gay.
Probably with the dog, right. Okay. Sorry, I'm real shit at names if I don't see the person in front of me and I didn't watch Colton season, so I have no prayer of remembering.
No, so like she like, here's the thing, like we get the like bullshit non-apology, I'm a sack of shit, manipulative crap. And then like then pictures emerge of Demi in a Confederate flag jacket. And she's like, oh, it's a Yeezy jacket. I borrowed it from my boyfriend's dad. It's a Yeezy jacket.
Because that's better?
Like, and she's like, I didn't know what the Confederate flag was. This was like fucking 2 years ago and she's from Texas. Like, she knows the fucking Confederate flag is. I'm sorry. Like, sorry for the emphasis, but like, this is a full of shit response. And it plays into this whole thing that my next point, which is like the way BIPOC contestants get significantly less screen time and get fewer followers on Instagram. So like, you think about it, followers on Instagram is currency, right? Like, you get more money for ads based on how many followers you have and how people are interacting with you. And we get like my example that I wrote down was that Piper gets that beautiful romantic fair date. And like anybody getting a date like that should get a giant follower bump, right? Well, Piper gets a 17,000 person follower bump from that episode, which sounds like a lot, but what if I told you that's the 7th largest gain of anybody involved in the show from that episode? Like, what's happening here, if anything, other than like, how the fuck does like how the fuck does Piper leave that episode and that wonderful date having 30,000 followers on Instagram?
The literal only reason, other than racism, that I can think of is that she doesn't post anything on Instagram, so people go to her page and see that there's nothing there and then just leave.
She posts things,
but I know that's not the case.
She posts things on Instagram.
That's not what's happening.
Yeah. And that's mirrored in, so there's an Instagram Bachelor Data, which if you're interested in this stuff, you should follow, did a breakdown of screen time for people this season. And aside from Matt, the people with the most screen time, I think, were Katie, Victoria, and probably Sarah Trott, which is remarkable because Sarah got left in the 3rd episode. Let me double check that before yeah. 1 through 7 featured screen time. Sarah Trott had the most screen time in episodes 1 through 7 of anyone other than Matt, which, like, she was in 3 episodes and she had cumulatively more minutes of screen time than anyone else.
What was the reason? Like, what were the things that she was even talking about that, like?
No, she's the one who she left early. Her dad
that's right.
has ALS.
That's right. Yep.
Then Victoria, then Katie, then Rachel. And it takes until after Rachel to get to a contestant of color, Serena P., who is also in the Final Four and got 2 one-on-ones. Behind Serena P. is Kit, then MJ, then Chris Harrison, and then to get to another Final Four contestant of color, you go to Brie. And like, that's after all of these, like, why aren't your top 4 contestants? And then Michelle has even more people ahead of her. So like, this is just minutes of featured screen time, minutes where your personality is highlighted.
I wonder how that compares to past seasons as far as like Final Four, like.
Well, if anybody's going to do that work, follow Bachelor Data on Instagram because she does some cool shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I wonder if, like, I always feel like the people who end up in the Final Four are not necessarily the people that I've been like paying attention to the whole time because it's not what they're showing me. So like, I'm like,
it makes sense that there'd be a few people with drama that were featured that high, but like,
no, that's not the point you're making though either. It's just an observation I'm curious about.
And it's also that like Rachel Kirkconnell gets more screen time than Serena P. And Serena P has 2 one-on-one dates worth of screen time.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Confederate Rachel's got one one-on-one worth of screen time, and I feel like I haven't even seen her that much, which is like, wow. They've given so much screen time to like Victoria and Katie that is not even funny. Like,
yeah,
and it's like, I don't want to watch it. But
So we wanted to end things on a lighter note than that. So we have some TikToks to share with you. Unfortunately, our link isn't working, so I'm just going to play you the audio. I can drop this link in the chat if you want, but like they're all just face TikToks, so it's like not the
You're
end
not
of the
missing anything by only hearing the audio.
So the first thing,
whenever people talk about queer versions of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and yeah,
Oh, I heard it and then I stopped hearing it. Oh, I think your mic unplugged again. It did. Maybe I can play them. Are you playing them through your computer?
can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try this one more time because I'm not gonna move it again.
whenever people talk about queer versions of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and yeah, they always are like, oh, but then like other people can sleep with each other, and like, what if they fall for each other? First of all, this is reality TV. We live for the drama, right? But second of all, we can do better. Right? The Bachelor is straight. All the women are bi.
Name of this
Us
is
being
By
a
My
version of
Side.
The Bachelorette, in which none of them know who is the Bachelorette.
This is a mystery
Their contestants
mistress.
are all living in the same house. They're all getting to know each other. But one of them is responsible for deciding who goes home each week, and they don't know who. Version where everyone is genderqueer, but only one person a week is allowed to wear a button down. I just think that one would be funny. A version of The Bachelorette in which the
Okay, so as a response to this, we have a something I'm desperately hoping is real, and it's from Jeremy O. Harris, who he's a playwright. He wrote Slave Play, so he is a Tony-nominated playwright. He knows people who know people who like whatever.
like other people can sleep with each other, and like, what if they?
First of all, watch all of her videos. She is a TV genius. Second of all, one of my friends is a producer on The Bachelor, and there's always a lot of same-sex sex happening. Always.
That's all. I want to talk about that because
Obviously, the women who are sitting in these houses together are sleeping with each other. Obviously. Like they're like, if for no other, like, I'm not going to try to get into like genuine queerness versus queerness for show, but like at the end of the day, like I don't know if I've ever been to like a college party, for example, that was full of straight women who got wasted all the time and didn't end up hooking up with each other. Like, it's a thing that happens. And like on a show like The Bachelor, obviously they're pumping so much alcohol into these women. They're all like horny for some dude, and they're all like pissed at the dude, and they're probably all like, you know what, fuck it, let's just like go have fun with ourselves. And they're bored.
Fucking bored.
Yeah. So like, obviously, I just wish they showed it more, you know, like I wish they would make it more of a plot point to be like, oh, and now these two women are leaving together.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be like my ultimate dream, is for like all of the contestants on a Bachelor show to end up pairing up with each other and voluntarily.
It happened in Australia.
Yeah. It happened what?
Bachelor Australia.
Oh, nice.
Think. Anyway. Well, to end it, I was gonna ask EJ to pitch us a reality show that they came up with.
Oh my God. All right. So this is my reality show pitch. And I need to caveat this with I acknowledge the problematic nature of it, but I do think it would make amazing TV. So the concept, it's like more like a real world, like elimination style of game. And you have a house full of gay men. One of those men is straight. Every week, the house votes and one person is eliminated. the goal is for either the gay men in the house to find the straight dude and vote him off, or for the straight dude to manage to last long enough to be the last one standing. The end prize is $1 million. The gay men win at the end, they get the $1 million. The straight dude wins, he gets the $1 million. The twisty twist is they're all straight. There's no gay people here. They're all straight, and they're just trying to convince each other that they're gay to stay in this like house for as long as possible. And I acknowledge that maybe a little fucked up to mess with people like that, but really what this is going to do is shine a light directly on everyone's internalized like ideas of what it means to be heteronormative or to be gay, or it's going to like bring out all of the homophobia. And, I'm just, want to see a bunch of straight dudes hooking up with each other because they're, playing gay chicken, basically.
And my thought is that there's no real prize money. This is my addition. There's no real prize money unless after the premise of the show is revealed to the contestants, a couple stays together for a year because they genuinely fell in love and they discovered they were bi. That's how they get to keep the prize money.
Yeah, you only get the prize money if you manage to like play that game of gay chicken for an entire year. So that's my pitch. I